Hey guys, Scott here. Today I want to talk about the new patch with the Trickster and the new map and all that stuff, new perks, or I guess changed perks and changes to like Wesker and Ghoul and all that stuff. And I kind of want to go over the basic vibe of the video, which is who exactly was this patch made for? Because it's very inconsistent with the decisions that the developers actually made, and I kind of wanted to go over how that's a little frustrating. So let's start with the elephant in the room, the big one, Trickster, the Trickster rework. I will say the Mina skin, pretty well made skin. I'm not really here for gooning bait and all that stuff, but she's pretty well made. Got custom animations, custom Mori, custom sounds. Everything is overall pretty well handled. And again, visually, everything about this change is just, very good. The map is still gorgeous and all that good stuff. But Trickster, the actual gameplay, I think that skin will sell a lot, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of Trickster players past, a couple of days. And that's because they didn't make Trickster any more accessible. In fact, they went in the complete opposite direction. Trickster is even less accessible now. And that's kind of at odds with how they usually do patches and things like that. When they do patches, they usually try to make it as universal as possible so they can get as many people as possible enjoying the new content. And a lot of the time when they do stuff like that, people like me and streamers and top 1% and all that stuff, we suffer for it, but it's still, without a doubt, better for the health of the game to balance around the casual player, not like a brainless player that has no idea what they're doing, but just the average player that plays the game, the bulk that make it up. That's usually what they do. And they didn't really do that here this time. Trickster is without a doubt harder to play now, is, in my opinion, weaker even with all of that. And on top of all that, there's just nothing that made Trickster more engaging to go against either. So my whole point is, what did they accomplish with all of this? Basically, all they did, they catered an entire patch to the 7 people that main Trickster, and that's basically it, which is a really perplexing decision, and I'm happy for them, even though half of them are saying this is a downgrade too. But it's just such a weird decision to pick such a niche audience to basically change an entire patch for and just focus on them entirely, because like I said, Trickster is harder to play now. The fact that Trickster went from 115 to 110 movement speed makes it so you are far more reliant on being extremely precise with your power. You can't make up mistakes with increased movement speed around loops and stuff like that. So you are genuinely going to be, trying a lot harder to win if you're not very experienced with the killer. And because, like I said, Trickster is one of the least played killers in the game, most people are not very experienced with Trickster. So people are going to try this, realize, oh, this is even worse than I remember, because for them, it actually is worse than they remember. You actually are probably weaker now, and they're just going to drop it. So it's not like anyone's going to play Trickster, or we're not going to have any more Trickster players past a couple of days here. The initial allure of something new and exciting will be gone very quickly, and then we'll be in a scenario where, unless you dedicate months to mastering the killer, you're just left with an even worse version of what you already had. So I in that regard, I feel like this patch is just kind of a failure, because the idea is we want more people playing killers, and we want the killers to be more fun for everybody. That's the overall goal of the entire game, as much fun as possible for everybody. But all we have now is casual players are going to have even a worse time playing this killer. The new map is terrible for this killer, and then we have it so the survivors going against them are still doing the same things that they used to do, and it's still boring for them. They didn't fix how fun it is to go against. They didn't fix how easy it is to get into the killer or anything like that. They didn't really fix much of anything. They just slapped a UI element on the screen and you get dopamine sound effects, and other than that, it's basically the same killer except just worse. Now, there are a couple of Trickster mains. Some of them have said this is a downgrade. Some of them said this is like a tentative side grade, and then 1 or 2 of them said it's an upgrade. I cannot fathom any possible way in which this is an upgrade. Just main event itself takes literally 4 times as long to get to. And although main event is not the entire draw now, because when you're in S tier that allows you to activate main event, you're actually throwing knives pretty damn fast, like half the speed of main event in itself. So sometimes it's better to just not even use main event whatsoever. You just get to S tier and then just use the benefits of S tier. And that's sort of weird, because main event was always the main finisher to the power, and now it's almost like an afterthought because it takes so long to get to that point, and once you've earned that S rank, you just want to use the S rank, because as soon as you main event, the S rank goes away. And it's just it puts you in this weird scenario where you're not really using main event that much anymore. You're just kind of benefiting from the additional tier. But even getting to S tier without add-ons and stuff like that, without specific add-ons that affect how much you actually get from certain things, it takes a really long time, even for really good Tricksters that can needle through the haystack loops and get, additional style points. They're doing long range shots. It still takes significantly longer, because current, or at least old Trickster now, you had to hit 8 knives. You got basically 1 damaging health state on somebody and you got main event. Now you have to do like these crazy shots through holes. It needs to not decay. You need to not be doing nothing for a certain amount of time or your rank will just decay over time. So if people play very ratty and safe, you're just, fuck you, I don't care. You're just going to lose rank regardless. Like, there's a lot of shit that is just really unnecessarily punishing to newer players that I'm not really sure what they were thinking, because this is not going to get anyone else interested in the killer. This is just going to make people go even further away, and they didn't fix the issue of how funny it is to go against. So overall, I don't see how any portion of this can be seen as a success unless you're like the 3 Trickster mains that actually think some of these are like a side grade or maybe an upgrade. So other than that, I think I'm not too happy with Trickster. Now, they did a lot of other changes with this patch too. Wesker, for example, on the PTB was horrendous because they removed a lot of very fun things like, you know, the motion of flying off cliffs. You just hit an invisible wall now. Every time they add an invisible wall or a power stopping, I just think back to Sky Billy and how they removed something that wasn't damaging the game in any way, and it was just fun. So I just hate when they do shit like that. So all that stuff, all the stuff that made Wesker feel terrible to play in the PTB is still here. They said they were going to try to implement some of it as they went forward, but basically none of it is there. It's just exactly as it was in the PTB. All the Wesker mains are upset because they basically just dumbed down the killer to a massive extent, which again is really weird because the Trickster update is super, like, directly pinpoint precision on like the 5 Trickster mains and everyone else fuck you, but then the Wesker changes and like the Ghoul changes dumb everything down and remove all semblance of skill from everything. So that really is supposed to appeal to everybody because that's what I'm saying. Like, this patch is so inconsistent on who they're actually aiming it for that I'm just confused. And then like with the Ghoul, the whole revaulting thing where when a Ghoul would vault the pallet after you, you could like wait until their foot touched the ground and then vault back into them and be safe if you timed it perfectly. Now, when the Ghoul vaults, you just don't get hit. You can just, at any point, it's like removing the timing from flashlights entirely. You just, whenever a Ghoul vaults a pallet, vault back into him, you'll be fine. There's no hit animation anymore. He doesn't have any damaging hitbox around him at all. So all you have to do is just camp on the other side of a pallet, and if a Ghoul is trying to vault, just vault back into him, and you'll be fine. Ghoul has to just cancel their power and then cake the pallet. So, I'm not too upset about that one, to be honest, because I like Ghoul for the cool shit that Ghoul can do. Like, instead of just vaulting shack and then hitting someone, like, you know, vaulting the shack window, hitting someone that, like, whipping outside a shack and flying around it and cutting someone off doing Spider-Man shit. That's what I love about Ghoul, and that's what's cool. So the fact that that actually kind of makes that gameplay more important now, I think actually is kind of a good thing. So although that change might make a lot of people upset, that's probably the thing I'm least upset about, because pallet scampering on any killer is just always just shit. Whether it's Chucky or whenever they can do it. It's always a really boring mechanic. When you drop a pallet, killer vaults after you and hits you in 2 seconds. It's just boring. So I appreciate that they're at least trying to move away from that. And I honestly think that will make Ghoul slightly less hated to go against, because it is really stupid when you're at a good pallet and the Ghoul just, like, there were some things you could do, and if you knew the revault timing, it was fine. But now everyone can do it with no thought, so it just will simply not work on anyone anymore. So Ghoul's vault has been made a lot worse. So take that as you will. Again, I'm not too upset about that one, but I know a lot of Ghouls are going to be upset about it because, again, it just dumbs a lot of stuff down. So the map, like I said, for Trickster, utterly miserable, one of his worst maps. It's actually a lot of killers' worst map. It's maybe not worst map, but it's very bad for a lot of killers. Conversely, killers like Wraith, who I tested on this map, absolutely shit on this map. This is a really good stealth killer map. So if you're playing Wraith or Ghostface or even Myers, like, you can get really close to people before they have any idea you're nearby. So those stealth killers are going to benefit a lot from this map because it is very, very claustrophobic and cluttered in most spots. However, there is one, actually there's several 3-gens that can spawn on this map, which I'm really worried about because I feel like killers are going to be kind of pigeonholed. If they don't have mobility or map control, they're going to be pigeonholed into holding these 3-gens because they can't afford to go anywhere else. So I think we're going to have like a Dead Dog or a Forgotten Ruin scenario where killers might ignore like half of the map and just sit in one area because they're kind of forced to do that. So I don't know. Like, again, aesthetically, the map is it is the best map they've ever made, but playing on it, I'd say half the killers are going to be really struggling a lot. Trickster probably most of all because of how slow he is. But if you're playing a killer that's got like mobility that can just simply move fast, like Spirit or Wraith or Ghoul or Blight, you'll be fine. But you're typically fine with those killers anyway. So what does that say? So overall, I don't know. I'm not super happy with this patch. I'm not like upset with it either. It just sort of nothing really happened. It's just sort of a very nothing burger for me. One new map is cool. It's just another map I'm kind of going to dread playing on half the killers, which is not great. So really, unfortunately, not too much to look forward to. I was never a fan of Trickster to begin with. I do like the skin. I think it was very well made. Again, art team, every time they nail it. But gameplay, yeah, this chapter was kind of a miss, or paragraph, or update, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what this is. It's not even on the Steam store. It's just like a half DLC. I don't know. It just feels like it's not even half baked. It's well made. It's just they didn't do anything that's improving the game, in my opinion. So, meh.